And welcome, flip clock fans. We're going to take a look at 5 flip clocks that every collector should know about. First, we're going to go to Germany, the home of where the first flip clock was made. But we're going to go to a place called the Cooler Clock Factory. Now, this isn't where this clock was made. That factory was bombed during World War II, and they moved. But that's in the history. I've made a lot of videos about this clock. There's actually at least 2 that I think you should watch, and it talks about the history of how this clock came about. So this clock was made by Cooler, and that's the original manufacturer. Let's see if there you can see that perhaps. It's a Cooler flip clock. The rights were sold to Joseph Mergenhagen. He started making them. You can find these in different colors and styles. And Joseph Mergenhagen is the one who distributed them to the United States through a man named Charles Terwilliger. This happens to be a matching clock, and it is a Mergenhagen. But we're not talking about this one. We're talking about this one and why I think it's so important. My belief is that this clock kind of got things started, probably put it in the idea of people, hey, it's time for the flip clock to come back. So the Japanese made the nicer versions. They're electric versions. These are tick-tock versions. You have to wind them up, and they make some noise. You know, they're a little noisy, but not a bad mechanism. So I think it's a pivotal clock for a lot of reasons. It's a very historic clock, and I think it did probably get things kicked off. It came out around in the 50s, so 1953. So that's a clock that I think is very important, that most collectors should know about. That you're going to have 3 different makers: Cooler, Mergenhagen, and then the rights were sold from Mergenhagen to Karl Laufer, or in Freiburg, Schwenningen, Germany. So that's our first one. Our second flip clock that every collector should know about is this one right here. This is kind of special. This is a Sony Digital 24. So it matches the Digimatic that we have in the United States. This was released in Japan. And why this is so important: for years on their website, Sony claimed that they made the first digital clock radio. They had to finally stop saying that. I've got proof because I recorded it off of the Internet Archive, where there is a page that says that. But they had to take it down because it wasn't the first digital clock radio. There were rolling wheel clock radios before this. But it actually is the first flip clock radio. So Sony's not going to say that. They don't care about flip clocks, but we do. So this is the first flip clock radio. We got it started about in 1968. Of course, by 1969, all heck broke loose, and some of the nicest flip clock radios that we know about, were made in 69 and 70. But this is what got it started, the Digital 24. So we're going to stay in Japan. Japan being a nice place for flip clocks, of course. And we're going to go to this thing. This is the big brother to the Copal 101. We talked about in a previous video. This is the Copal 201. Now, why I believe this one's so important: it's a little bit bigger, and I believe it was made for the American market. Very nice clock. This says Caslon on it. Some of them will actually say Copal. So this 201 says Copal instead of Caslon, but it's a Copal Caslon. Caslon being the name of the font used and the name of their series of clocks. So the Copal 201, I think, is a wonderful flip clock. It's one of my favorites, up next to the 101, just because it's clock only. It's not about alarm. It's just about looking nice and telling time. So that's number 3 in our must-know flip clocks. Number 4, well, it's got to be this. The Solari Udine Cifra 3. Now, if you're a collector of flip clocks, you've got to know. Cifra means digit or letter. Digit number, I should say. Figure, that's another way it's translated. Figure 3, digit 3, the third. So the Cifra 3. So what do you need to know about it? Well, there's happens to be 3 variants of it. This one is a modern version. I'm going to tell you how you can tell it apart. These started to be remade in 2015, and they make them to this day. They just recently came out with a commemorative one for 2025. I think it's like 300 years of Solari Udine. Solari Udine being the company that made all those split flaps in the train stations and airports way back in the day, and they've almost all disappeared by now. So it's wonderful history. Italian company, have to go all the way to Italy to find these clocks. They're sold in the United States, but they're very expensive. Now, what's the three variants? This would be the modern version, and then you're going to have one that was made to commemorate the clock being entered into the Museum of Modern Art in one of their modern masterpieces displays. And you're going to see, the way you can tell that is in here, it'll say Museum of Modern Art of New York. So these came out in 1995. This is the second variant. Now the original, the Italian-made Solari Cifra 3 was first produced in 1966 with significant worldwide sales into the 1970s. There are distinct differences in the original. Now here's how you're going to tell about that. So you see this? That's a symbol of Solari Dine, and you notice that they don't have that on the other clocks. They do have the minute and the hour. Of course, that's how you advance it. It's the minute or the hour. But the originals are going to have that, plus, let's see if we can see that. On the front piece, it'll say Solari. On these, it does not. So that's how you know you've got one of the original clocks, one of the original Cifras. So there are three versions of the Cifras. They all go for big money on eBay these days, even the new ones. They're kind of prohibitively priced, actually, and they're loud flippers, especially on the hour. So it's not a clock you have to be a flip clock collector. Of course, I felt like at the time, I felt like I needed to have it, and I got it, and there it is. So what about our fifth clock? What's going to be our fifth clock? Well, this is for a different reason. This is because it's so famous, and I believe it's really done something for the hobby. It's got people interested in it, and it's actually why I started collecting flip clocks. And it has to be the Panasonic RC6025, also known as the Groundhog Day flip clock. And as everybody knows, this clock appeared in the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Love that movie. Had to have this clock. Started doing restorations on them. So the RC6025, the Groundhog Day flip clock, we should all know about that. Now, what should you know about it? Well, in the day, this was the bargain basement flip clock for Panasonic, flip clock radio. The bargain basement, the lowest price. So if we could have afforded one, this is the one I would have gotten. We couldn't afford one when I was a kid. But this was the cheapest one you could get, which is funny now because the last one I saw like this went for like over $300 on eBay. The cool thing to know about these is that if you get a RC6030, the internals are the same. So you can actually swap out the internals directly with the 6025. So if you see one that's not working, you can get the RC6030 and make your clock working again. The RC6030 has a stripe. That stripe can be easily it can be removed. We'll say not so easily, but it comes off. You remove this, get it to a place away from fancy furniture. I don't want to tell you how I know this. And you use brake fluid, and that will remove the stripe without causing any problems to this, because you can't use paint remover on these things. So there it is. The 5 flip clocks I think everyone should know about. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you think there should be another clock included. Well, thanks for taking the time.